Students, today's session is reproductive system. Initially, we must know what is reproduction. Students, reproduction is a process of production of offspring. Mainly, there are two types of reproduction. One is asexual reproduction, another is sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there is an involvement of parent organism and there is a formation of one or multiple offsprings. In sexual reproduction, a male and a female contribute their sex cells to form a new generation. In fact, we can see the sexual reproduction in all vertebrates. And our today's session is only the sexual reproduction. Now, what is reproductive system? Students, as you know, group of organs involved in reproduction, we call it reproductive system. Now, in reproductive process, what is involved? The male sex cell, or we call it male gamete, that is sperm or spermatozoa, and a female gamete or female sex cell, that is ovum. Now let us see what are the organs involved in male reproductive system. That is the anatomy of male reproductive system, as you all know. Because what is anatomy? When you study about the structure, organs of any system, we call it anatomy. Now, in male reproductive system, the main two organs are two testes, which are situated in a sac-like structure, which we call scrotum. Now, above the two testes, as you can see in this picture, there is a coiled tubular structure which we call epididymis. Above both the testes, epididymis is present. Then from epididymis, elongated tubular structure extended, which we call vas deferens. Vas deferens ends at seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle is a sac-like structure. And just below the urinary bladder, there is one gland which we call prostate gland. Prostate gland, just below it, below prostate gland, there is a pair of bulbourethral gland. And other two organs are urethra and penis. So, in male reproductive system, what are the organs involved? Two testes, two epididymis, two vas deferens, two seminal vesicle, one prostate gland, two bulbourethral gland, urethra and penis. Now let us go for the functions of those organs. As we all know, testis produces sperm. Now if you do the cross section of the testis, you can find inside the testis there is a small tubular structure which we call seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule. In seminiferous tubule, the sperm production takes place. Seminiferous tubule is having three types of cells. Number one is male germ cell. Number two is Sertoli cells. And number three is interstitial cells of Leydig. Now, what is the function of male germ cell? Male germ cell produces sperm. So, the spermatogenesis takes place in male germ cells. Formation of sperm takes place in male germ cells. Then Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells gives nutrition to the sperm. And interstitial cells of Leydig produces the male hormone testosterone. So, the most important organ of male reproductive system is testis, where from spermatogenesis and formation of testosterone takes place. Now, after the production of sperm, it enters into epididymis, where it matures. The sperm gets matures in epididymis. Then via vas deferens, it reaches to the seminal vesicle. Now, what is the function of this vas deferens? Vas deferens is just to carry the sperm from epididymis to seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle plays a very important role. Seminal vesicle produces a fluid which helps the sperm to come out easily from the body. What is semen? Semen is a fluid produced by seminal vesicle. It contains two nutrients, especially fructose, as you all know, the carbohydrate food, which is required by the sperm for the production of energy, and minerals are there in the sperm, in the semen. Now, this prostate gland also produces semen, which mingles with the fluid of the seminal vesicle, which helps the sperm to come out easily from our body. Bulbourethral gland produces a fluid which lubricates the urethra before ejaculation of sperm. And as you all know, penis is an organ for sexual intercourse. So in nutshell, we can say sperm production takes place in the male germ cells of seminiferous tubules of testis. Testosterone is produced in the interstitial cells of Leydig of seminiferous tubule, and seminal vesicle produces semen which contains nutrients. Prostate gland produces semen. Bulbourethral gland produces fluid which lubricates the urethra so that the sperm can easily come out via urethra and penis. Now let us see the sperm. As you can see in this picture, sperm is having three parts: head, body, and tail. Tail is there so that the sperm can swim in the vaginal path. And head is to penetrate in the ovum, which is very important. There are some diseases related to the male reproductive system. What are those? Number one is necrospermia. Necrospermia is in the semen, all of the sperms are dead. That is called necrospermia. The dead sperms is necrospermia. Oligospermia, sperm count is less, which is required for reproduction. Then agiospermia, absence of sperm. There is no sperm in the semen. Then asthenospermia. Sperm is there in the semen, but they are weak. So they cannot produce any offspring. That is in nutshell, as you can see, friends, is the male reproductive system. We also discuss some more diseases which are very common nowadays because of the stress, strain, and also the pollution in the environment. These are the very common causes of male infertility. Thank you very much. Students, today's session is female reproductive system. Female reproductive system, first of all, we'll discuss about the anatomy and then we'll go for the physiology part. Now, what are the organs involved in female reproductive system? Number one is, as you all know, two ovaries, right ovary and left ovary, as you can see in this picture. Two fallopian tubes, right and left. One uterus and vagina. Now, this uterus is an organ. There are three parts: fundus, then body, and cervix. Cervix joins with the vagina. And in the wall of the uterus, there are three layers. There is a muscular three layers. Outer layer we call it epimetrium, middle layer myometrium, and innermost layer is endometrium. This is the uterus. Ovaries contains thousands of follicles. What is follicle? Follicle is a sac-like structure filled with the fluid. Inside the follicle, there is one ovum. In fact, two ovaries contains thousands of follicles, and each follicle contains one ovum. Let us discuss the hormonal part of female reproductive. This is very important. When you discuss about the female reproductive system, you must know about the hormones. That is the endocrine system. From our pituitary, one of the most important hormone is released, that is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Name itself says follicle stimulating. The follicles which are there in the ovaries get stimulated with the influence of FSH hormone. And 10 to 15 follicles in each month start maturing. And also they start producing the hormone estrogen, the female hormone. Now, what is the function of this estrogen hormone? Estrogen prepares the bed for the baby in the endometrium. In medical terminology, we call it proliferation of the endometrium. It is a function of estrogen. In commonly, we can say preparing bed for the baby in the endometrium is a function of estrogen hormone. Now, level of estrogen start increasing day by day, day by day. Day 10th or 12th, when the optimum level of estrogen is achieved in the blood, there is a feedback message to the pituitary, and pituitary start reducing the level of FSH, and simultaneously pituitary start producing LH, the luteinizing hormone. Now, on day 14th, with the influence of both FSH and LH, the most matured follicle ruptures and ovum comes out. Each month, only one follicle which gets most mature ruptures and ovum comes out and enters into the fallopian tube. The ruptured follicle, we call it corpus luteum, is yellow color. Now, with the influence of LH hormone, this corpus luteum start producing progesterone. So, on day 14th, when the most matured follicle ruptures, the episode is known as ovulation. And after the rupture of follicle, ovum enters in the fallopian tube and corpus luteum start producing progesterone. What is corpus luteum? Corpus luteum is the ruptured follicle, degenerative part. Now, in the body, level of estrogen start diminishing and the progesterone levels start increasing. What is the function of progesterone? The same function as estrogen does, preparing bed for the baby in the endometrium. The process goes on. On day 22nd or 24th, level of progesterone becomes optimum. Feedback to the pituitary. Pituitary start reducing the hormone LH. So slowly the LH hormone start reducing from the pituitary and simultaneously the progesterone. On day 28th, when the level of progesterone is minimum, estrogen, in fact there is no production of estrogen, FSH level is minimum, LH is also minimum. The bed which has been prepared since last 28 days in the endometrium of the uterus comes out, which we call menstruation. So the day when the menstruation starts, for any calculation purposes, we take as day 1 and the menstruation continues for 4 to 5 days. As we already discussed, on the day 14th, when the ovulation takes place, ovum enters in the fallopian tube and it travels through the fallopian tube and enters into the uterus and get destroyed. During the menstruation, the dead ovum will come out. But if during the day of 14th or 15th, if the sperm is available in the fallopian tube, fertilization takes place. As you all know, fertilization takes place only in the fallopian tube. Once the ovum enters in the uterus, there is no chances of fertilization. When ovum, one sperm conjugate together, we call it zygote. And this zygote slowly through fallopian tube, it enters into the uterus and embedded in the uterine wall, innermost layer, there is endometrium, where the bed is being prepared initially by estrogen and in later part by progesterone. So after zygote, from 2 to 8 weeks, we call it embryo or embryo. And after 8 weeks, we call it fetus. During this period, there is no menstruation, as you can see, because in the endometrium, fetus is there. So there is no chances of menstruation during the conception period. After 280 days, the fetus comes out through vagina and that we call labor. So gestation period is 280 days in case of human. See, students, the menstruation starts between the age of 10 to 14 years. That is called menarche. When the girl first experiences menstruation, we call it menarche. And at the age of 45 to 55 years, when the menstruation stops, we call it menopause. This is in brief the female reproductive system is all about. Thank you very much.